Hey everybody, this is Chuck Marone with Strong Towns. Many of you know, and if you don't, I'm about to tell you that I'm a big Disney fan. Not the kind of Disney fan who's like, oh, I can't wait for the next movie to come out, but the kind of Disney fan that likes their theme parks. I have for a couple decades now been taking my colleagues to Disney theme parks pretty regularly as a way to show them what some of the best urban design in North America looks like. These places are exquisitely designed, exquisitely built, great attention to detail, and it's hyper personified too. So it is a stage. It is, in a sense, almost like cartoonish. So what you see is good design accentuated. It's easy to point out, it's easy to grasp, it's not subtle. And I've had a lot of fun taking colleagues from the planning engineering firm I founded in the early 2000s, and now, over the last decade plus, my colleagues at Strong Towns, to Disney parks as part of our annual retreats, annual get-togethers, as a way to, have a good time, but also, study and look at and understand good urban form, because let's face it, it's really hard to find throughout North America. There's an announcement recently, though, that made me very sad, let's say. Let's use that word, sad. The original Disneyland in California has this feature called Rivers of America. There's a little island surrounded by a moat, I think is probably the way you term it, but they treat it like a river. There's a paddle boat that goes around it, little canoes that you can take to go over the island. In Disney speak, these are low demand, slow loading rides. So they're not going to be, Space Mountain, It's a Small World, things that can pump a lot of people through. But especially for people like me, there's a bit of nostalgia about it because they were part of the original park and part of the original vision. I will say there's a fort on Tom Sawyer Island. I actually had that exact fort at my house. I grew up on a farm, and my dad built us out of, it was not, let's just say it was Disney-esque in that it was not super well constructed. It doesn't exist anymore, but a little fort that looked exactly like the one on that island is pretty wild. So a lot of memories, really cool place. In Florida at the Magic Kingdom, they copied that part of Disneyland's design when they built it. And so when they opened it, they also had Rivers of America. They did not have the Columbia riverboat, but they did have a paddle ship and some other things there. Disney has now closed Rivers of America and closed Tom Sawyer's Island. Let me just say at the beginning that I kind of understand this. Again, the nostalgia aspect is real, but I mean, this is a park, kind of like a lot of these things, they need to be designed for the current generation. And I am not the current generation of theme park goers, so I get the need to evolve and change. I'm not one of these people who is gonna stomp my feet about nostalgia and say, how dare you change this thing that I loved so that other people now will love it more. I got faith in what they're doing. Until I found out what is actually going in this space. They're going to fill in the river, they're going to remove the island, and Disney is building at Magic Kingdom in Florida, Cars Land. Now, my first reaction is, isn't Cars Land just the US? Like, do we really need to go to a theme park to experience Cars Land? I know they have Cars Land in California at their California Adventure Park. It's my least favorite part of all Disney properties. I get that there's a certain intellectual property here that appeals to a demographic, generally young boys, although I know, I've got two daughters. When they were kids, they knew cars, but they didn't really care all that much about the franchise. But I had nephews that were obsessed with it. Okay, I get it. I get that, that is a thing. But come on. Cars Land? Like in the middle, this is just in the middle of Disney's park in Florida. You've taken, I mean, let's be clear. You get to Disney World and you are on some of the best roads and streets dichotomy. We've had this Strode conversation here before. You've got great roads that get you there. They're not encumbered with strip development, so they flow really well. You get there, you park in like the continent's biggest parking lots. It's just massive, literal Cars Land. And then you take a monorail, you take a boat, you take a sky train, you walk, you get on a bus. You take some of the most intricate transit systems in the world, some of the best coordinated transit in the world, along with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people who, by the way, almost certainly don't have that kind of transportation in their communities and are enjoying it there. And then you bring them and you deliver them to Cars Land. I might be getting old, but I'm just terribly disappointed by this. We live in Cars Land. People go to this place and you watch them and they're, the fascinating thing about Disney World theme parks is that people pay extraordinary amounts of money, like insane amounts of money, to live in places that mimic the places we had before the Great Depression, right? Main Street, USA, when you enter the park, is based on Walt Disney's city that he lived in when he grew up as a kid in the 1920s, 1930s. This is a kind of recreation of his downtown. Oh, look at this. Hello.
Are you a blogger?
Yeah, I am. It's my mom and my daughter. See ya. The idea that, we would go backward and now, introduce just a little bit of suburbia into this environment, to me seems a little incoherent, but what do I know?